which is in Scotland's rural environment. And I think this talk touched my imagination. The settlement of Rickerton Junction. Rickerton Junction, built on the Waverley line into Borders, was built by the railway workers who built the railway line, and was only ever accessible by the railway line itself. And with the disappearance of the railway line, the village has gone too. But if this could be reversed, this process, it could be an interesting model for sustainable rural dwellings. And what would a settlement be like that was adjacent to some transport infrastructure? And our competition scheme on the left, and a kind of still aspirational kind of version of what we ended up building. I like to put these two together because there was quite a journey to get to this. The competition scheme looked at a sort of a ring, an enclosure, of buildings joining up to each other, houses joining up to each other, around a central courtyard, but each building gets its own small private entrance courtyard with its private lawn garden on the outside of the diagram. And because we rather ambitiously sort of stretched our scheme over more than one plot, the judges of the competition said we were only going to get a plot this big, fair enough, really. And we could only build two of our houses, and in doing so we kind of inverted, in that change we inverted the diagram from a ring into a pinwheel of spaces that are much more open network. I suppose it's like we unlocked the corners and rearranged them. And in doing so, I think, we experimented and we indulged ourselves in using that pinwheel motion to trigger a change in the form. So the ridge of the buildings kind of start to twist around the pinwheel, and it generates quite an interesting silhouette of a building which we entirely wrapped in shingles. And it also triggered an interesting sequence of spaces inside the house. And we liked drawing the net of the sort of hairy jacket of shingles that wraps over the house. And you can see that wall is entirely built of timber. We've got it's got wood fibre insulation. It's got wood fibre insulation on the outside and shingles. It's plasterboard on the inside. And this is a shot from the train in Russia. I went on a trip to Russia in October, and it reminded me of that idea of the community. It's dependent on the railway line. The wooden houses in rural Russia access. In fact, I was talking to a Russian colleague the other week. We were describing that the stations from St. Petersburg were named by the number of miles they were from the city. To get to your dacha, you knew which station you would go to by its name was the distance. So this is some of our work for Affordable Housing Association in Berwickshire, on the edge of the village of Swinton, in Point, very agricultural Berwickshire. And our first commission for affordable houses. So this was quite an adjustment for us, having done extensions in Edinburgh, quite high value, £3,500 a square metre, to working with £800 a square metre. So we had to readjust our approach entirely, and still, wanted to integrate technology, sustainable, renewable technologies, but also sort of passive ideas about sun spaces facing south that could warm up air, and air could be redistributed around the house. And the last vision I'm going to show you, which is for rehousing people with disabilities from a care home, which is the Marchment House near Greenlaw, which was used by Sue Ryder Trust as a home for 14 individuals, and the council, Broads Council, helped provide individual houses for each person on the edge of Duns, which we enjoyed doing immensely. It's not very clear to see these images, is it? But there's a network. We distributed them with a network of paths and greenways between each house. So, I'm going to just talk a bit about what we've been doing other than regular architecture. This is one of our evening classes taking place in our front room. There's a huge demand for people to participate in the creative process of architecture. You see so many shops around town offering you to come in the door and participate. There's the bakery around the corner from me, was running, teach us, show you how to bake bread. There's a necklace shop up the road in Bransfield that you can go and spend an evening class making necklaces. What would the equivalent be if you wanted to actively get involved in design? We thought the model making was probably the means for doing that, and so and the constraint was 6. We thought it would be 6 times 2-hour slots. What could we teach? What could we do? So we mix a bit of talk with a bit of drawing, with most of model making. Really, there isn't much between passively watching Kevin MacLeod on the telly, every week, between that and the 5 signing up for a post-degree course. If you actively want to have that dialogue about design, for most folk. We also had a lovely exhibition by Nigel Peake, an architect and illustrator who's doing very well with his career now, not just because of us, but he's a very talented fellow. We've enjoyed, this is some images from our summer school. We really only notified one university in Spain about our summer course, and we filled it. It wasn't too ambitious, it was only 8 individuals, but that was what suited our office space. And because we know lots of architects and engineers, we had a great programme showing folk around some, all you can imagine all the buildings they could see in Edinburgh. And we discussed some of the difficulties, developments in the last 10 years. And we had a nice conversation in this room about the city. And we ran them a design exercise. In fact, this is what they really wanted to do, was to work, not just to listen and talk. They wanted actually to have a challenge. We set a challenge, and we set them walks across the city in pairs. And they were to find places which, where they felt the city was under threat, where there was a little crisis. We didn't overblow the theme, we kept it light. And they immediately came up with loads of suggestions of where there was a friction between uses, or and then we wanted them to come back and respond with ways they could intervene. And this is an image of using the rock. And I want to show you this little video, which one of the teams did around Rutland Place. So listen, the music's only going to come out of this speaker here, okay?